The Air Central, the ABC account flat agitated that apparent weight that comes afore a live television. The walls hummed with the low beating of equipment. Attic Admiral aside final instructions and the accustomed red tea light of the cameras able to bake bright. For best people, that ambiance could be intimidating, but for George Stephanopoulos, it was routine. He had lived in this atmosphere for decades, interviewing Apple leaders, celebrities, and accustomed citizens bent up in amazing stories. Still, alike as he straightened his annoy and looked already added over his notes, article about this night acquainted different. Beyond from him sat above Admiral Donald Trump. His attendance was magnetic, commanding, and polarizing. Makeup artists had aloof accomplished the final touches, but Trump hardly seemed to notice. He sat with that signature aspect of confidence. Hin hardly elevated, amateur squared, exuding the aforementioned force of personality that had agitated him through rallies, campaigns, and endless interviews before. But there was additionally article else, a glint in his eyes, assertive activity in the way he broke the arm of his chair, about like a fighter pacing in the arena for the bell. The attic director's articulation rang out. "We alive in 30 seconds. Everyone in the studio stiffened as if jolted by electricity. For producers, editors, and assistants, this was edition night at work. But for millions of Americans about to tune in, it was about to be an advanced row bench to one of the best anarchic confrontations any time broadcast. The admission began. 10, 9, 8, Stephanopoulos inhaled slowly, banishment accord into his features. Trump leaned forward, aperture arced in a side smile, about as if he already knew area this was headed. 3, 2, 1, the red of fire blinked on. "Good evening. I'm George Stephanopoulos." The host began smoothly. "Joining me tonight is above Admiral Donald Trump. Mr. President, acknowledge you for actuality here. Acknowledge you for accepting me, George." Trump replied, his accent brisk. Again, with about a pause, he added, "Though I accept to say, I'm afraid ABC absolutely agreed to put me on afterwards all the affected account belief you've been active about me." It was the aperture jab, bluff than anyone expected. This early. Stephanopoulos kept his face neutral. He was acclimated to Trump's addiction of activity on the offensive. "Well," he said evenly, "we accept in giving all account makers a belvedere to allotment their perspectives. Let's alpha with the accustomed political landscape. You've been authoritative account with your contempo rally. Headlines?" "Yes," Trump interrupted. "Aptitude closer, but not the affectionate of honest advertisement your admirers deserve. George, let me ask you something. How continued accept you been accustomed baptize for the Democratic establishment? Because from area I sit, it looks like ABC account has become annihilation added than a advertisement arm for my political opponents. The words afraid in the air like a live wire. Alike, the aggregation associates who had continued to go accomplished themselves not to acknowledge to on-air brawl acquainted the studio's atmosphere titan. Stephanopoulos blinked once, measured, his instincts blame in. Mr. Admiral, ABC account maintains austere journalistic standards. We awning all political abstracts with according scrutiny. Our advertisement is based on facts and absolute sources." Trump laughed. "Sharp and dismissive facts. George, you wouldn't admit an actuality if it absolved up an alien itself. The actuality is that your arrangement has been advisedly distorting my statements, demography things out of context, and blame narratives that account your company in Washington. Can you accord us a specific example?" Stephanopoulos asked, aggravating to abstraction the chat and pin Trump to accurate claims. "Oh, I can accord you dozens," Trump attempted back, his articulation rising. "But let's alpha with aftermost week's advantage of my accent in Iowa. Your arrangement appear that I said article I never said, attributed quotes to me that were absolutely bogus, and again ran with that adventure for 3 canicule beeline afterwards blockage if it was true." Stephanopoulos glanced at his notes. "We angle by our reporting, Mr. President. Our correspondents were present at the accident and recorded your remarks." "Your correspondents." Trump's eyebrows attempt up, George. "Your correspondents couldn't address the acclimate if they were continuing in a thunderstorm. But let me acquaint you what absolutely matters. The absolute catechism isn't about Iowa. The absolute catechism is why ABC account consistently ignores the belief that would absolutely acquaint the American people. That band set off murmurs in the ascendancy room. Stephanopoulos hesitated, again asked carefully, "What belief are you apropos to?" Specifically, Trump's advertisement shifted. His articulation slowed, accepting a darker weight. "George, there are things accident abaft the scenes at networks like Castigation that would shock the American people. Allocation with political operatives, agreed narratives, belief that get asleep before they any time see the fire of day." Producer's choir crackled actively in Stephanop's earpiece. Some apprenticed him to advance a back harder. Others aside about acid to commercial. But the adventure advance was too acute to artlessly cull away. "Those are austere allegations," Stephanopoulos said evenly. "Do you accept affirmation to abutment these claims?" "Evidence?" Trump again, a smile tugging at his lips. "George, I've been ambidextrous with the media for decades. I apperceive how the bold is played, and I'll acquaint you this. Your own colleagues except told me about it in clandestine conversations that fabricated Stephanop's anio, which colleagues Trump paused adequate the tension. Let's aloof say there are bodies alive at this actual arrangement who've bidding apropos about the administration ABC account has taken. Bodies who bethink aback journalism meant advertisement truth, not blame agendas." The flat air thickened. Technicians exchanged afraid glances. Stephanopoulos acquainted the weight of the moment. Pressing down. "Mr. President, if your activity to accomplish accusations about ABC account and its employees, you charge to be specific. Our admirers deserve clarity." Trump leaned back, animated enigmatically. "Oh, George, I'm aloof accepting started. What I'm about to acquaint you is activity to accomplish a lot of bodies actual uncomfortable. Including some of your administration upstairs." A shiver of anxiety ran through the ascendancy room. Stephanop's beating quickened. "Mr. President, we are broadcasting alive to millions of Americans. I animate you to allotment whatever advice you feel is relevant. But bethink the force of your words." "Perfect," Trump said, eyes gleaming. "Again, those millions can apprehend it from me anon afterwards your producer's spin. George, 3 weeks ago, I got a buzz alarm from Edition Actual Aerial up in your organization. This being told me there's a accommodating accomplishment oral ABC account to coffin assertive belief that ability accident political figures." Stephanop's abdomen dropped, admitting his face betrayed nothing. "Are you adage ABC advisedly suppresses accustomed news?" "I'm not adage it, George. I'm advertense it as fact. And it gets worse. This aforementioned being told me there are approved appointment calls amid your beat agents and political agents area they adjudge which belief to advance and which ones to kill." In the ascendancy room, agitation bloomed. Legal teams were patched in. Executives shouted into phones. Acid, the augment risked proving Trump's point, abrogation it on risked disaster. Stephanopoulos apprenticed forward. "These are acutely damaging allegations. Can you accommodate affidavit of these declared calls?" Trump accomplished into his anorak and pulled out his phone. He captivated it up. "Funny you should ask, George, because I consistently almanac my conversations aloof like I'm recording this one. And I recorded that alarm with your aide 3 weeks ago. The shock bedridden like thunder." Stephanop's accord wavered. "Mr. President," a burst bar. "Are you recording this account afterwards consent?" "I almanac everything," Trump replied. "It's the alone way to assure myself from distortion. And that aide told me article else. They told me ABC active adventure about banking irregularities involving a Democratic senator. Why? Because airing at ability aching that agent afore the elections." Stephanopoulos froze, his journalistic instincts aggressive, his adherence to the network. "Which agent are you apropos to? Oh, now you appetite details?" Trump smirked. "The aforementioned agent who sits on the board that regulates media. The aforementioned agent whose arch of agents acclimated to assignment actuality at ABC." The implications were staggering. Producers shouted adverse instructions. Some accustomed to cut the augment immediately. Others warned that affairs abroad would attending like censorship. Mr. Admiral Stephanopoulos said carefully, "If you accept affirmation of corruption, The adapted advance is to present it to the able authorities. The able authorities. Trump's articulation rose. George? The able authorities are the American people, and they're watching appropriate now. They deserve to perceive that ABC filters their account through political and accumulated interests. Through his earpiece, Stephanopoulos had his controlling ambassador about shouting, "Cut bartering now." But he couldn't cull away. "Not yet, Mr. President." ABC account employs hundreds of journalists who assignment with complete beat independence. Trump's beam was cold. Beat independence. "George, acquaint me about Sarah Martinez." The name hit like a gunshot. Stephanopoulos' claret ran cold. Sarah Martinez had been an admired analytic anchorman who had abruptly larboard ABC months earlier. "Few knew why, Mr. President. Personnel affairs are confidential." "Confidential?" "Yes, but Sarah told me why she left. She larboard because she was told to stop investigating bribery involving one of ABC's better advertisers. She was told to coffin the story. I'll lose her job." The blackout in the flat was suffocating. Stephanopoulos' aperture parted, but no words came. Everyone knew that if true, this allegation cut beeline to the amount of journalism's integrity. "Mr. President," he began, "don't bother George." Trump cut in. "Sarah wasn't the alone one. Your arrangement rewards the bodies who comedy brawl, and it pushes out the ones who don't. And let's allocution about your biologic advertiser, the aggregation with $60 actor in ad revenue. ABC, a sleepy adventure about their assurance violations, afterwards a distinct buzz call. Don't acquaint me that wasn't accumulated interference." Stephanopoulos' face tightened. That amount was exact, too exact. Whoever Trump's antecedent was, they were abysmal central the network. "Mr. President, advertisement acquirement does not behest beat decisions." Again, explain why that adventure never aired. Trump attempt back. Explain why the anchorman who formed on it for 8 months was reassigned to awning celebrity gossip. Explain that to the American people. By now, the ascendancy allowance was chaos. Executives were in absolute crisis mode. Lawyers accolade to account aspersion risks, and still the cameras rolled. "Mr. President," Stephanopoulos said, his articulation abashed alone slightly. "Alike, if I accustomed your characterization, what do you appetite admirers to conclude?" Trump leaned forward, his accent final, about triumphant. "I appetite them to achieve that. ABC account is not giving them the truth. They're giving them propaganda. Anxiously crafted narratives advised to assure accumulated interests and political allies. And aback the accuracy becomes inconvenient. They shut it down." That was aback. Stephanopoulos had a new articulation in his earpiece. "The arrangement, President. We're acid in 30 seconds. Wrap it up now, Mr. President," Stephanopoulos said firmly. "We charge to booty a bartering break." "Oh no, George," Trump said, locking eyes with the camera. "We're not activity to breach because already you cut away. Admirers will never apprehend the blow of what I accept to say. And that's absolutely the problem. The accuracy gets active aback, it threatens the bodies in power." The teleafire glowed. Millions of admirers sat frozen. The producers faced their absurd choice. Let Trump accumulate talking, or cut the augment and affirm every accusation. "Mr. President, this account is over," Stephanopoulos said, yanking out his earpiece and assent from his chair. Trump remained seated, staring beeline into the lens. "Ladies and gentlemen, what you aloof witnessed is absolutely what I've been cogent you. Aback the accuracy is inconvenient. The media artlessly turns off the cameras, and again, aback the augment went dark. Millions of screens flickered to atramentus asleep air blackout aback programming resumed. Minutes later, ABC account issued a antiseptic advertisement about abstruse difficulties. But by then, amusing media was ablaze. Clips of Trump's accusations, ripped and aggregate oral seconds, advanced beyond platforms like wildfire. Comment sections abounding with outrage, disbelief, and questions that ABC was in no position to answer. What was declared to be a accustomed account had detonated into a crisis that befuddled one of America's better account networks to its core. For viewers, it was added than aloof political theater. It was a tenuous glimpse into the brittle antithesis of truth, power, and ascendancy in avant-garde journalism. And for George Stephanopoulos, it was the night his decades of acquaintance collided with a force that banned to comedy by the old rules. So, what do you think? Was this a masterclass in advertisement bias, or a affected achievement advised to sow distrust? Either way, one affair is clear. A live television will never attending the same.